Welcome, everyone, to Pentapyramid Radio Station. I'm Orion.
And I'm Iris. Today, we're doing a bit of a deep dive into something quite fundamental, I think.
Well, yeah.
It's this delicate dance between control and empowerment.
Yeah.
You know, how much structure versus how much freedom.
Ah, right. That constant push and pull.
Exactly. We've been looking into why finding that balance is so important, not just like nice to have, but often really essential for growth and just getting things done well.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What's the core challenge there? Why is it tricky?
Well, it kind of boils down to this tension, doesn't it? You need enough control, enough structure to make sure things are consistent, everyone's pulling in the same direction, think teams at work or even, family life.
Sure, need some guardrails.
Right. But if you tighten the reins too much, it can really backfire. People feel micromanaged, their motivation dips, they lose that sense of ownership.
Right, just a cog in the wheel.
Yeah, precisely. But then swing too far the other way. Too much freedom, not enough clarity. Things can get messy, inconsistent. You might end up with, well, a bit of chaos.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. We've probably all experienced both ends of that spectrum.
Yeah.
What happens when it goes wrong? Like, what are
Yeah.
the actual negative impacts?
Well, with too much control, like we said, morale often takes a hit. People feel stifled, less likely to, stick their neck out with a new idea or take initiative. It can almost become a learned helplessness.
Yeah, I can see that.
And on the flip side, too much freedom without clear direction. That's when you see projects maybe losing focus, deadlines slipping, efforts getting scattered. It's like everyone's working hard, but maybe on different things or pulling in slightly different directions.
So it's about finding that sweet spot then. How do you actually do that? It sounds like it needs more than just good intentions.
Absolutely. It starts with really clear direction. People need to know the what and the why. What are the goals? What are the expectations? That's foundational.
Okay.
The framework. But then comes the other crucial piece, trust. You have to genuinely trust people, trust your teams to operate within that framework, to take ownership.
And that's where certain qualities probably come into play. For the people being empowered, I mean.
Yes, definitely. For empowerment to work well, you often need individuals who demonstrate certain traits. Things like accountability, owning their actions and outcomes.
Right, taking responsibility.
In self-motivation, that internal drive. Critical thinking, too, the ability to analyze situations and solve problems on their own.
Makes sense. What else?
Reliability is huge. Can you count on them? Strong communication, keeping others informed, adaptability, because things always change, integrity, collaboration skills, and just plain initiative, seeing what needs doing and stepping up.
So when people have those qualities, it makes it easier, safer maybe, to grant more autonomy.
That's a good way to put it. Empowerment is maybe less risky, or rather more likely to succeed when those foundations are there in the individuals or the team.
And this whole concept, it's not just for the office, is it? We saw it applies much more broadly.
Oh, absolutely. Think about parenting. You set rules, boundaries, that's the control element. But you also want to empower your kids to make choices, learn responsibility, manage their own tasks eventually. It's a gradual handover. Or student group projects. The instructor provides the assignment, the goals, the deadlines, the structure. But the students need the freedom, the empowerment to figure out how they'll work together, who does what, how they'll solve problems. That's where a lot of the learning happens.
Right, responsible autonomy.
That's the goal. It applies pretty much anywhere you have people working towards a common goal.
And we found a really concrete business example, didn't we? That Google policy.
Ah, yes. Google's 20% time. That's a fascinating case study.
Tell us a bit about that one.
So the idea was, or is, that Google engineers can spend like one day a week, 20% of their time working on side projects, things that interested them personally, not necessarily their main assigned tasks.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of freedom.
It is. And look what came out of it. Things like Gmail, Google Maps, AdSense, huge innovations. That's the power of empowerment, of trusting talented people.
But it wasn't just a free-for-all, right? There was still some structure.
Exactly. That's the key. It wasn't total chaos. There were still overall company strategies, performance reviews, ways to track progress, and ultimately, these projects needed to align somehow with Google's broader mission. So it combined that autonomy with strategic alignment. A really neat example of the balance.
That really does illustrate it well. Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway for our listeners? And maybe a question for them to think about.
I think the core message is just how vital this balance is. Finding that equilibrium between necessary structure and genuine empowerment, it's not just a nice to have, it's really fundamental for creating environments where people can, truly thrive and contribute their best work, whether that's at work, at home, in school, anywhere, really.
It unlocks potential.
It does. And the question I'd leave folks with is something to reflect on personally in your own life, in your interactions, whether you're leading a team, parenting, collaborating on a project. Are you consciously working towards that balance? Are you helping build trust and ownership? Or maybe without realizing it, are you leaning too hard towards control? Or perhaps letting things drift into inconsistency?
That's a really good question to ponder. Where do I sit on that spectrum in different situations?
Yeah, it's worth thinking about.
Definitely is. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thank you all for tuning in to Pentapyramid Radio Station.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
If you found this discussion helpful, please do subscribe so you don't miss our future explorations.
And we'd love to hear your thoughts or experiences with this balance. Drop them in the comments section.
Until next time.